everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be the second in my Understated luxury bag series. So I'm going to be going over Saint Laurent and Prada today and the bags in the current collection of those that I think are the most understated, the most elegant, and then I will also reveal with inside of these brands which I think is the best buy. So let's go ahead and get started with Saint Laurent. First up is the Manhattan, and I think either the shoulder bag or the tote work nicely for this. The clasp of it almost looks like a Kelly in terms of the way that single strap goes across the front with the clasp in the middle. But even the hardware, because it comes together, the way it comes together seems to be a little bit less in your face. And it does say Saint Laurent on it, but it's so small that you really don't notice it. The leather is smooth, the cuts of it are timeless. And I think in any of the styles of it, it is a really nice, luxurious looking, classic, understated bag. Next up is Le Fumoir. I speak French a little bit, but not very well, so you'll have to forgive my pronunciation. This is a beautiful bag. The cut is simple, it's nice, it looks like a nice bag. The single strap in the front to the little piece of hardware, and then the clochette, the hanging key, just is really nice. I like the way it comes together. I personally really like this bag. I would absolutely add this bag to my collection. I just am not quite sure which size would work for me, but it is definitely my silhouette. So I do gravitate towards it, but I do think it's really understated and quite pretty. It's so understated that I think most people wouldn't actually know that it was Saint Laurent. Maybe that's too understated for some, but it is definitely beautiful and luxurious. Next is Le Maillon. I think that this one has a few styles as well. I don't really love the bucket bag version. I don't think bucket bags are particularly feminine, luxurious silhouette. So not so much that one. There is a plain version that just has this kind of infinity clasp, and otherwise it's just this beautiful bag. It kind of reminds me of the Celine box bag, but with this infinity symbol instead of the square hardware. The shoulder strap is adjustable for this. It is certainly a classic shape. You can find this in almost every brand, and this one is very understated. Again, maybe like the one before, maybe it's too understated for some, but it is definitely a beautiful, understated, feminine, elegant bag. The Sorbonne is similar to me in terms of that bag. I actually think it looks quite similar, and so falls under the same purview. And then the medium Francois, I think any of the sizes, but the medium Francois, I think also looks, again, very similar. In fact, maybe too similar. Maybe it'd be nice if they were a little bit different, but I do think that's a pretty bag. It reminds me of vintage Gucci, actually. It reminds me a little bit of mine, which you may or may not be able to see in the corner, vintage Gucci lock bag. So it does have that very classic vintage shape. And then Le Care bag is another one. I think that the hardware on this, because there is a little bit more hardware, it adds a little bit more something to the bag. They say, you know, hardware is the jewelry of the bag, and I think that that is true. So I do like this one. It reminds me of some of the other ones, but that extra little bit of hardware I think is nice, and I'll be curious to see if they take any of these different styles of hardware and continue to incorporate them in upcoming collections. We will see.
I forgot to mention the Gabby bag. I honestly hadn't really been looking in person at a lot of the ones with the typical YSL hardware, but I love this one, and I think that the more matte hardware and smaller quilted design was really beautiful and definitely a little bit more understated than some of the others.
In general, I think that most of the bags at Saint Laurent are fairly understated. If they have the tassels on them, maybe less so. But even the Saint Laurent logo, like the YSL put together, I think is actually quite elegant, but it is definitely less understated. I do have to say though that I still think that my pouch is the best buy. She's just so pretty. You know, I really like the chevron detail of it. I think the envelope pouch is a beautiful shape. They're potentially calling this a different thing. I think it was Cassandra now, so that's interesting because I thought that there was another bag called the Cassandra, but this was showing up on the website as that. Anyway, I'm still gonna call it the envelope pouch or the wristlet. this is a wristlet. I added a D-ring to it, but I have a whole video about how to add straps to this bag. The D-ring is another one. And I love this. I think it still retails for about $800. It's a great price. I like it better than any of the other crossbody styles in terms of the layout on the inside, which is really quite plain. It gives you a lot of nice room. I don't like something with a divider in the middle. And then for the price, obviously, but I also just like the shape of it, and I like the size of it. It's a little bit bigger than some of the other crossbodies, and so I think you can fit a little bit more. I love it. I think it's beautiful, and I definitely, hands down, think it is the best buy. Okay, so now for Prada. Prada has been one of my favorite brands for a long time. I've always thought of Prada as being something that worked really nicely for like the working woman, the corporate look. Prada has worked well for that. Though I have to say in the past few years, the collections have gotten a little more wild, a little more out there. I appreciate the vintage resurgence of nylon, though I like that they're using eco nail, so they're doing it in a more sustainable and environmentally friendly way. But I don't personally find nylon to look particularly elegant. So yeah, the newer designs are less of my thing. However, I will still talk about some of the leather bags. I love the Galleria. The Galleria has gone up a lot in price, and they seem to be advertising it a bit more now. So I think they're trying to kind of bring that back, as you know, these it bags from 10, 15 years ago are coming back. So we'll see what they do with the Galleria, but regardless, they've raised the price. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now. I don't think that there is a best buy at Prada right now. I think almost everything is overpriced personally. However, I do think that if you're willing to spend the money, I think that you can definitely find some beautiful, understated, elegant bags. So the Galleria to me is beautiful, understated. It's got a little bit of, if you know, kind of a thing, but in general, that logo is not very big. And I know a lot of people in like the corporate world, like lawyers, will kind of turn it around sometimes so it looks like they're just carrying a plain leather tote when you don't have the triangle. That works. You can do that. It is a beautiful bag. I love that bag, and I think it's okay in terms of elegant and understated, even with the front logo showing. The Matinee bag has the same logo, but that shape is so elegant to me. That is one of my favorite shapes, that semi-sphere curved edge just adds this femininity and elegance to these bags, kind of like the Alma in Louis Vuitton. I think that that's a beautiful shape. I love a good top handle, so the Matinee had to make an appearance on this list.
I also want to add that this top handle is removable when you want to wear it crossbody, which is so smart.
The Clio bag has that 90s resurgence trendy shape, but I think in general is still a nice looking leather bag. It is still pretty understated. I wouldn't call it quite as elegant as some of the others just in terms of the silhouette, but I do think if you like that silhouette, this is a great way to go for an understated classic. And maybe that's just me. Maybe other people do. I mean, I think that the curve of that is really pretty, but there's just something to me. If you're holding it in your hand, fine. But if you're gonna sling it over, I just think something that's like right under your armpit is just not as elegant. Am I totally wrong here? I'm curious to know your thoughts. Let me know. Do you find that silhouette to be elegant? It certainly can be understated and luxurious, but I don't know. Is it feminine? Is it just too much? I'm curious to hear what you think. The re-edition 1995, yes, if they're gonna bring back, this is a nice classic. It's very square, but I still think with the top handle, it adds that touch of femininity and elegance to it. And I like the plain leather. Although I think that the logos against the triangles are a little less obvious actually than when it just says it. I still think it looks quite understated and elegant. And then same thing with the Clio, the leather mini bag. Sometimes Prada has the worst names for things. It's like leather tote, and there's 17 of different ones of them. So same thing with this leather mini bag, but this leather mini bag, has that similar shape to it. And then for another leather mini bag that I have, this one over here has this, it has the wristlet. I tend to like these versatile options with the wristlet or the long strap. This has definitely the largest logo of them all, but I do still think in general it's a pretty elegant bag. I wouldn't necessarily call it understated, but it is pretty elegant. So those are my picks from Saint Laurent and Prada. Please let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear what you think is the best buy from them, which shapes and silhouettes you think are the most elegant and understated, and let me know what you think about that baguette, like under the armpit style in general. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in a future video. Bye.